but I think we have to go back to the first time I met my wife. I had an arranged date with this sorority girl, and it was a double date with my roommate and what turned out to be my wife's cousin. So we picked up this young, good-looking thing that I had a date with, and we proceeded to go out to pick up his date. And so we went into the house, and this is the Barber residence, which are now our cousins. And so we found his date, and then comes this high school senior coming to the door holding two mangy, huge hounds. So, you know, like Cinderella sitting there at the hearth with all that's sort of the impression. And so that was the meeting of the person that turned out to be my wife for eons.
I did this one at church. Ready?
Yeah, go ahead. Whatever you want.
I'm sort of dizzy.
From there, we didn't see each other. After all, she was a high school senior. I was a college big man on campus, president of my fraternity. But that fall, she came to San Diego State, and my dear fraternity brothers felt that they wanted to go to the Redlands football game. Now, that was from San Diego to Redlands, but they were going to have dinner in Santa Ana at one of our fraternity brothers' home. I really should have been at a fraternity work party, but since like three of them, the ones that I hung out with, the leaders of the fraternity, were doing this, it was really tempting, and so I didn't have a date. Now, Catherine Trink, as I ended up calling her, I had been meeting her in the morning because she'd come to the fraternity house with her cousins to then walk over with my roommate to school. And so, yes, I had been seeing her, but that and seeing her at church and, you know, just, hi, how are you? Good morning. So they said, well, we can get you a date with Trinky. And, oh, okay, fine, that'll work. And I'll go. Okay, so we drive to Santa Ana and had dinner. And from there, from Santa Ana, we went over to Redlands for the football game. I think we might have won, I'm not sure. So we come back from there. She's sitting in the front seat of the car. I had a four-door sedan. And so we're talking and everything, and we get back to my fraternity brother's house for, I believe it was strawberry shortcake, and one of her friends says, well, Trinky, why don't you go over and play the piano? And so she goes over and sits down at the piano with no music and whips off Moonlight Sonata by Beethoven. Whereupon I was super impressed that a person could do that. I already knew she was a violist, but I didn't know she could play the piano too. We had a nice evening. We ended up driving back to San Diego, and on this first date, I got her home somewhere around 3 or 3:30 in the morning. So that was the beginning of our long-term relationship. She even went so far as to help wash my car so that I could drive to Los Angeles to have a date with another girl that I had met on the train coming back from the National Convention in the summer. So that really was sort of impressive. So thereupon, she says that she hasn't had a free weekend since, and that's pretty much true. We don't go apart very much. So that's the story of the first date.
And when was that? What year?
That was in 1962, and we were married then in 1963 in April. We were supposed to be married in August, but things got sort of bad at where she was living, and so she thought we just pushed the date up, and one of the things as we were in our relationship prior to being married, she would come over for dinner. Well, John was a singer, and so the three of us would do the dishes singing three-part harmony, whereupon sometimes the neighbors were knocking on the walls for us to, okay, let's tone it down a bit. But we lived right adjacent to the San Diego State parking lot. It was really cool. And then she was working at the library as a tech, along with taking her classes. I started that first summer of our marriage as a state park interpretive specialist, and so here we'd been married from April until June, and all of a sudden I was away from her, and she'd come up. We had a friend in the apartments, and she would drive her up to the park, which was about 25, 30 miles away, and we would visit for a weekend, and then I'd come home Sunday night. And all in all, it was pretty good, but it wasn't a great way. Oh, I forgot one.
Well, that was Anza-Borrego, right?
No, the Anza-Borrego came within that time, but I forgot to explain as we returned from our honeymoon, of which was in a cabin in the woods, yeah, it might be. Okay, the cabin is now gone. It was probably gone when we were there, but anyway, yeah, the Forest Service took it down. But anyway, just so happened that Trink went and had a collie, and the collie, prior to our getting married, was pregnant, and the collie had puppies just before we got married. And so therefore, when we returned from our, quote, weekend honeymoon, we moved all the puppies into our apartment, unbeknownst to the landlord. And there were 8 puppies, and we put the leaf of the table across the doorway to the kitchen so that they had to stay on the linoleum. And my new wife was super impressed with her husband, because he would get up first thing and clean the kitchen floor of all the puppy mess. So this is a great way to start, you start your wedding, start your marriage. And So it seems to have worked out.